Welcome, welcome, welcome. International studies or studying abroad. Have you considered this option for your child? Or if your child aspires to study abroad, it is not about the universities and it's not about the merit. What we are going to talk today is how a student who is so determined about studying abroad can bring the entire plan to fulfillment by her own will and complete contribution from her own side. Yes, I am so pleased to have here on this interview my very favorite Khushi Patel.
Hi, ma'am.
Welcome. So, as I just mentioned, Khushi has definitely grabbed a seat for herself in an international university. She is going to talk more about this. But what is most important is that she has done, she has achieved this feat by herself. Parents have definitely been concerned or wanting to know and have supported her by keeping themselves away from what Khushi was like. Am I right, Khushi?
Yes, for sure.
Yes. So now I want Khushi to introduce herself and she will also tell you which university she has got admission into. And then we will talk a little bit about her schooling and then come on to the entire process of what she has taken to get her international studentship. Yes, Khushi. Over to
So,
you.
hi. I am planning to do biomedical engineering at the University of California, Davis. I studied at RN Podar School for my 11th and 12th standard and I did science. And then I also studied at the BAF Pettit Girls High School till the 10th standard.
Okay, that's about what Khushi is. So Khushi has got her admission into the Davis University, right, Khushi?
University of California, Davis. Yeah.
Thank you. And I also want to mention this. Now, I want to now talk something special that I remember about Khushi. Definitely about her performance in the 10th standard. She has got 100 on 100 in her ICSE examination in maths.
Yeah.
And she has got, Khushi, what was the total percentage?
94.
Okay, so she scored 94% overall and 100 on 100 in maths. And I am so privileged and honored to have her as my student since grade 6. Right, Khushi?
I think so we started in grade 7. I'm not sure.
So grade 7 maybe, yes. So grade 7 is almost as tiny as grade 6. She was so tiny when she came to me. And very focused, little scared, not very expressive, but extremely committed girl. And she has been a meritorious student all through. Now, I want really my friends and teachers and students who are listening to this, we are getting meritorious students here on this interview. And we are definitely going to get students who are not that academically, great, but they have got wonderful, attitude and great talent. So we are going to definitely bring them also here. And I'm really blessed to have hardworking, determined students. So they may not be great, but they are doing absolutely wonderful in the ICSE examination. With Khushi also being a girl student, I'm a little biased also towards girl students. Extremely focused, knew what to do. And what was special about me and Khushi when we were training is that it was a totally different style of training. I want Khushi to tell what was it, and then I will add on to it. What was it that was different, Khushi, that we were doing in our training?
Well, I think more than our relationship was not really more of a teacher and student. It was more of family in that sense because I would talk to you about anything and you would give me advice, and not as a teacher, but just as a person who probably really cares about it.
And also, I would like to tell you about the coaching which she has not mentioned. Of course, she's talking about the relationship. The coaching was non-conventional in the sense I would only tell Khushi what has to be done. There was no need for me to actually go and teach. And to the extent that she also had one more colleague or schoolmate with her. they would like, create papers for each other, create some kind of, there would be tests that were taken, even verbally, orally. And, all this was like so much of responsibility I would give on them. They would choose what they want to study. And friends, I really want to bring to your notice that I'm working, right away this time on my digital courses, where I want to honor the students and respect what they want to study. I feel it is very, very important, right, Khushi, that we teach the students what they want to study.
Yeah.
Why teach them everything, and burden them? And I've seen like students like Khushi and many more are already capable of doing so much by themselves, and teachers are taking, all that thing again, which is unnecessary. So we want to do our job completely. But I feel that if we are a little mindful and provide only what is required. So with Khushi, it was a very little support that I gave. It was more of responsibility and more of demand that was happening on her. And I think that is why they got fabulous results, both Khushi and Sakshi. Even I'm going to get Sakshi on this interview. And right now, I want Khushi to talk about certain questions that I'm going to ask her. But we will be talking in length about her experience of application through getting her admission in the University of California, Davis. Am I right? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, Khushi, the first question that I want to ask you is, so you have already introduced yourself. I want to know that how has been your experience as a school student, being a student of Avabai Paisa School? Can you please mention your journey there in short?
Well, the school, I don't think so. That school is like any other school because we have such a huge campus. It is more like it is like a second home to me, honestly, because I would go there. There was no hustle bustle of too many students. It is a very chilled out environment, and I think I had a great school life. I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of fun, but at the same time, I tried to stay focused on my goals and what I wanted to achieve. And because of my 10th results, I realized that I did actually achieve what I wanted to, and I'm really happy that I did that.
Awesome. Yeah. So I want to talk about the school that Khushi was going into. It was a Parsi school. It is a Parsi school. And the school has a wonderful, they're disciplined. They are methodical. And I think that is one school which has a lot of teachers, they are there for a long time, and there is a culture of the teacher-student, which we see is very conventional and very rooted. So I would see Khushi's books, so many notes given and, everything explained so well. So we being into coaching, I was a tutor to her. So I could, go beyond the explanation.
Yeah.
The explanation was done so well in her school that what we had to do was give them more practice, elaborate on a particular topic. So it's not only the school, but also with Khushi, since it was a complete girls' school, I also feel that it is a student's contribution to the schooling that also matters. Because a lot of students, when they go to tutors, they feel that, okay, let me learn from the tutors. But I would really like to give this, advice and also request the students to be completely respectful of the school teachers as well. Okay, might as well you're going to be in school, and these days you're going to study online from your school teachers. First, learning happens when the school teacher is teaching you, or whichever teacher. Pay attention to every teacher that is teaching you, coaching you something, because that's going to add value to your own experience. Okay, great. Sure. Thank you so much for sharing about your school experience, Khushi. Now, I would like to talk to you about who is your favorite school teacher and why?
Well, if you would say your favorite teacher, it would be you for sure. But a school teacher, in 11th and 12th, my biology teacher was definitely my favorite teacher. Her name is Miss Padmavati. And the reason she's my favorite teacher is that she would constantly motivate me. So no matter what marks I would probably get in my midterms or whatever, she was constantly telling me how I can improve myself, and she would never give up on me in the sense. Like, she was always there for help. I could just message her and ask her if I had some doubts or anything. So she was definitely my favorite teacher in 11th and 12th. I would say till 10th, my physics teacher and my class teacher. She was also extremely nice to me, and she would motivate me. Instead of complain about me to my parents and how bad I'm doing, she would actually tell me that she's exactly like me, and she would give me advice on how I can become more confident and be better.
Wow. So you know what? This is really a aha moment for me. So you know what most of my students are saying, and even Kushi said, is that the teacher was nice to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's so important that when teacher is nice to the student. Now, Kushi was, as I told you, a very hardworking student, and yet she was sometimes not able to, you know, perform. It was, I mean, we have gone through those times, especially, yes, Kushi, especially in the 9th and 10th standard, it was horrible. How much ever, you know, strategic we were, there would be something that would go wrong, and the result wouldn't be as expected, and it was a whole mess. I'm so glad that I have Khushi's mom as the parent to whom I had to really with whom I had to interact. She was really cool about all this. We all respected what Khushi was doing. But see, nevertheless, even if the child is academically oriented or not, being nice to the student is extremely important. And I feel that we as teachers, even for me, it is a reminder all the time that what is most important for a student is being nice and not highlight what is going wrong, but by highlighting that's how we are similar. And you know, that is, I think that works wonders, right, Khushi?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, especially at the time of results when the child is broken. And when the parent comes to us for parent teachers meeting, you know, it's so important. So I remember, I want to share this one thing. There is one student, okay, from I was a school teacher in ABM at point in time, and I was sitting for this parent teachers meeting, and one parent come to me and she said like, I know, ma'am, my son is in trouble. I know, ma'am, like, you know, she was anticipating that I'm going to complain. So right in the beginning, she said, I know, ma'am. So I told her, ma'am, I know your child is mischievous. I know a child is naughty. But tell me, who has to be naughty? You and me or your child? You know, I mean, it was, I was that time a teacher of grade 5 class teacher. I just joined RT with them in the school. So you know what? It's like we have to accept and love them the way they are. They are definitely going to make us very proud. So I feel. So yeah, that was a little bit to my teacher friends. But let us accept them, love them as they are. You're doing a great job already. You know? All the teachers are doing fantastic job. I feel that all the teachers have their teaching thing in their blood. You know, they wake up as a teacher and they go to sleep as a teacher. So you're contributing immensely. But you know, if we can just get reminded about these things, it's really going to add value to what we are doing. Yeah. So, Khushi, now, what is your favorite subject and why?
My favorite subject is biology. So I'm just fascinated by the human body and the way cells work. It kind of makes me wonder how this all came to fruition. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. So once again, one more student talking here about wonderment. And I feel that it is so true that we allow students to wonder. So, you know, sometimes when my daughter is just doing nothing, it's the first instinct of, oh, it's time, 10 days for exam. And then the other says, no, let her be. You know, she's doing nothing, she's thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe she's thinking about, you know, maybe a musical band that she's fascinated by. Or maybe she's thinking about some prank. Oh, she's thinking, come on. But so much from inside, you know. So when the stimulus comes from outside, you're not growing. But when you're thinking something which is flowing from from inside of you, it is very important. So wonderment, thinking time, free time for children is like extremely valuable. And Khushi, so if biology was your favorite subject, I know because I was going to ask you why. Probably because you said you're fascinated. Also, you got a very kind biology teacher. What is the subject that you have chosen now for your subject study?
Well, I've chosen biomedical engineering, and I chose that because I'm not just fascinated by biology. I'm also fascinated by technology and medicine, and by basically biomedical engineering integrates all of these subjects, and it's a field that helps to develop the healthcare industry, and I'm very interested in that.
Cool. Really nice. And I'm so glad that you have taken the subject of your choice.
Yeah.
And I feel that it is, not always possible, Khushi, that, sometimes we aspire to be something and due to certain constraints, you're not able to take it forward. You're definitely going to bring up those kind of topics also with certain students who wanted to aspire to be maybe sports person, maybe something in art, but they went into some stream, and how is it they're coping up? Okay. So next question, Khushi, to you is, when you were very, very young, okay, like maybe pre-primary or primary, what did you aspire to be at that point in time, and why?
I have no memory of anything like before 5th or 6th standard, as in what I wanted to be. But I know that in the 6th and 7th standard, I was kind of getting interested by science. And by 8th standard, I knew for sure that I wanted to take science after 10th.
And I think the credit goes to your teacher, who kept on, who kept on having a lot of science in your life. Science and mathematics, because when we tutor, usually I always get parents saying that, ma'am, my child is studying only your subject. So there used to be so much of maths and science happening that children definitely develop that aptitude. So it's great to know that, Khushi. Thank you so much for choosing sciences and choosing biomedical engineering, which is amazing. Okay, cool. So I want to now talk. I want you to talk about the toughest time in your life. The one that troublesome life, and how did you kind of come out of that? How did you cope?
I think my toughest time is from 9th standard to 12th standard, because that entire patch of life was extremely tough. I mean, 9th and 10th was not getting good enough scores, and I was worrying about my board exam, but then I kind of pushed myself, and the key thing to achieve what you want is perseverance. So that's what I try to keep in mind throughout 9th and 10th. And then in 10th standard, I try to have my goals and how I would kind of organize myself to achieve those goals. And 11th and 12th was particularly tough because the curriculum is extremely tough. And on top of that, I also had to apply abroad. So the full application process was also a lot. So that's why it was tough as well.
And you said that you came out of the toughest time by being perseverant about what
by being
you want
strong
to
and just pushing yourself, and
So when you say by being strong and pushing yourself, I want to know that from where were you drawing that much energy?
Sorry?
Push yourself. From where were you drawing all that energy to push yourself?
I think it came from within. I mean, my parents have always been there for me, and they've always supported me no matter what. So even if I get really bad marks in one exam, they always just tell me to do better next time, and they kind of just help me to figure out where did I go wrong instead of just screaming at me. Because I think so that really helped a lot. And then I always had a dream to do something big in life. So I guess that was just my self-motivation.
Wow, Khushi, you know what? I really want to say something here, that Khushi wanted to do something big in life, and that was not at all seen on the surface. I know, Khushi, I'm really getting goosebumps, by those words. It means that, it means like there are students who may seem to be like so okay with things, and she never spoke. She was never vocal about what she wanted to do, because see, I also want to do something big in life. I will talk, I'm following this or checking that, and so there are people who talk about it, and there can be students who have this desire to do really, really great, and I don't speak. I mean, you have given me, something valuable. Now I'm going to look at every student and going to check that this person or this child might be wanting to make something great, or maybe at least check and find out, talking to them, what is it that you aspire to be? That's really awesome. Because I mean, you are with me since like so many years, almost like 7 and maybe 6-7 years now, and yet I did not know this side of you. And I'm sure, like you said, that perseverance and all these things work only if there is a huge dream and purpose
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that purpose, that making something big, has
Yeah.
allowed you to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kushi, I really want to take this further.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your biggest accomplishment?
Well, till now, I don't believe I've done anything much except my 10th standard boards where I got 100. I was not expecting that at all. I just gave it my best and I ended up getting 100. So I think that is my biggest accomplishment right now. And also getting admission into a college. That's obviously a big deal for me. But I mean, I don't think I've done anything substantial till now.
Oh, you've been really very humble about all this. But I want now, Kushi, I want you to explain to our audience about this whole process, because I know your biggest accomplishment is to get this admission.
Yeah.
10th standard, 100 was not expected, and you got it. You didn't really, you didn't work that I want to do 100.
Yeah.
You did best and you got it. But you really, really, really worked for this particular, seat that is for your admission. So now I want you to really explain us the process of how it started, when that thought came to your mind, and what all you did.
Well, I think I always wanted to go abroad to study because my father went to the US for his undergraduate and postgraduate. And so I always had that thought in my mind that I would eventually go abroad to study after 12th standard. And then I remember talking about this with my parents in 9th and 10th, that I would love to go abroad, especially for something in the science-related field. So I had that at the back of my mind. And then when 11th standard came around, we started talking about it more actively. And so then they obviously asked me that, what do you want to do? So the first thing I did was I figured out what I wanted to study, because that's the most important thing, right? So I figured that out, and then I realized I wanted to do biomedical engineering. The next thing you have to look at is which countries do you want to apply to, because there's a lot of things that go into deciding which country you want to go into, which country you want to apply to. And then I decided to apply to the USA and Canada. And once I decided the countries, then I started going to career fairs and college fairs that the school was holding. And basically there are a lot of colleges that come from the US and Canada to your particular school, and they tell you about the university. So Podar actually held a lot of these college fairs, and our counselor kind of connected us to the people at these universities, and if we wanted to ask any questions, if we wanted to get the university, we would get to know.
Kushi, counselor, the school counselor?
School counselor. Yeah. So basically the thing that I did is I figured out which universities are good for biomedical engineering and which universities I would like to apply to. So I shortlisted universities, about 10 in the US and 6 in Canada, because I wanted to keep my options open in terms of which country I would want to go to. Then once I decide the country that I'm going to, I start looking at the application process for each university that I'm going to, because each university will have a different application process and it'll take a lot of time. So then I realized that the common denominator between all universities was 3 entrance exams that I had to take. The SAT subject test, which is recommended for STEM subjects, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. So for these subjects,
Can you repeat this? So you said that you decided on the 3 exams which are most important if you want to study science abroad.
Which are the prerequisites. So I had to take those, which are the SAT subject test, and the IELTS exam. That's the English proficiency exam. Or you can take TOEFL, one of these 2.
So IELTS and TOEFL.
Yeah, so either or. You don't have to take
either of them for the English proficiency. Okay, cool, yeah.
And then SAT is compulsory for the US. And if you want to get into a good US university, you also have to take SAT subject test if you want to get into a good STEM program, anything related to the science field. So I took those exams. I got whatever score I got. And then I realized that the next thing I have to do is look at the application in depth. So I had to write a lot of essays for the University of California.
So 1 minute, I want to ask you that when you prepared for your SAT, you gave the general as well as the subject test, right?
I did, yeah.
And were you taking any coaching for that, or how did you prepare for those?
I did it on my own. See, when the SAT and subject tests, they were all going on, I also had my school exams. So I was trying to study for the school exams, but then before the SAT, like 1 or 2 weeks before that, I would go through the manuals and try to figure out what the format was and stuff like that. But then because both of these exams were happening simultaneously, it was a bit difficult to manage it, but I did it. And it's just, you have to keep on working.
I mean, see, I remember that. So Khushi has been studying with me until grade 12.
Mm-hmm.
So she did her 10th standard and she wanted to do things by herself, but again she was not able to get a coach like me who could give her so much of freedom. So 11th again she joined me, and I remember 11th and 12th was a tough time because she moved on from ICSE into a CBSE curriculum.
Yeah.
And the total different evaluation pattern and exam schedule. And and all through she was going through her SAT, she would tell me, "Ma'am, I have this. I'm not going to be available so these days to these days." And now there's so many things were happening that and as I told you that since grade 6, we've been always making them responsible and allowing them to take it forward. So I believe that this girl is investing her time into the best way possible. So we were actually like her mother. I was also keeping a backseat, and when she asked for help, I was providing it. So Khushi, you gave your SAT. Then you gave your IELTS or TOEFL? Which one?
I gave my IELTS.
Okay, so you gave your IELTS. And which is the third exam?
And the SAT subject test. It's not compulsory, but it's recommended if you want to get into a good university.
Okay, cool. And SAT subject test and SAT general both are required for US. They're compulsory.
US, yeah.
Okay, got it. Yes. Then after the exam, the application essays. You were talking about the essays.
Well, after the exams, you have to look at the application as a whole, and each and every university has a different application. So I had to apply in a different application for the rest of the US. That's called the common application. And then for the California universities, I had to apply separately. So for the California universities, I had a common application, and there were 4 essays. So 4 essays basically about your life and everything like that. And then there were obviously a lot of questions asking about your academics and stuff like that. So the application, the deadline, I think, is November 30th. It's very, very early. So you have to finish everything by then. And it takes a long time. It takes a few days and can even take a few weeks if you want to write multiple versions of your essays and make sure they're really good. Mm-hmm. And then I only applied to 3 universities in University of California. So that was the 3. For the rest of the 7 in the US, I worked on the common application. Over there, you need letters of recommendation from your school universities. So I took 2 letters of recommendation from my school teachers and 1 from you. And I had to submit those. And then also in the common application, you write 1 common essay that is like 650 words. It is very, very long. And on top of that, for each of the 7 universities, you have 3 to 4 essays for each of them. So it takes a lot of time to do. But you just have to, if you want to apply to a good university, you just have to push through it and do it.
Yeah. It's almost like getting a degree. Huh?
And that's only about the US. Canada is another full thing. So for Canada, I applied to 6 universities. Again, it goes by state. So if you're applying to one state, but then you're also applying to universities in a different state, they're completely different applications. So then I had to do the same thing again for Canadian universities, where I had to write essays and submit letters of recommendation and all of the extra stuff.
So Khushi, this is, really overwhelming for me, and I'm sure for people who are trying to understand and get what you're saying. So I really request you guys, you can, go back. I was going to make her say whole thing, but you can actually go back and check this video, back and forth and, replay and see what's going on. So, now, Khushi, how you got to know that this is what has to be done? Which site or what was the resource which was guiding you through all this stuff?
Well, I mean, the main one was definitely the internet, because you get everything on that now. I would just source what are the requirements for studying in the US undergraduate. And then there are obviously these websites called the College Board and all of these main US websites where you go and the organizations that basically hold these exams, they give a lot of information. I remember that our school counselor would always come to our classes and give us lectures and she would keep us informed. as to what we need to do and when we need to start it, because timeline is very, very important when you're applying abroad.
Timeline is very important, right? And then if you're, your exams, your school exams are going on, your native exams are going on in your country, then it's difficult, right? It's absolutely impossible.
Yeah, we have to learn to multitask.
Multitask, right?
Yeah.
So I want to know, how many hours in a day were you giving for all this?
So basically, I started my entire process in 11th standard. So in 11th, I was shortlisting the universities that I wanted to apply to, and I was just looking at the prerequisites and what exams that I needed to take.
Okay.
So, and then I would register for those. And then I started actually taking the exams in 12th standard and actually doing the application process in the 12th standard, right? So
my question was, in a day, how much time would you devote to?
Yeah. So if you start as early as August of the year in 12th standard, then you can only spend about 2 hours a day. But if you start a bit late, you will take at least 3-4 hours or 5 hours a day for only the application. And then on top of that, you will study for your school exams in 12th standard.
Awesome. So you know what? I feel that with this, you are also like kind of getting clearer about your own choice.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to do it? Are you sure? Right?
Yeah, because it takes a lot of time. So you have a lot of time to think. Yeah.
So I want to know, why is it that you did not take any help from your parents? What was the dialogue? What was the internal conversation about?
Well, I kind of have an inborn quality that I really don't want someone else's credit. So if there was anyone else helping me with my essays, it wouldn't be my own, right? So I did not like that. I want whatever merit that I get, it should be based on what I do. Yeah.
Awesome. So I have no words to the kind of commitment that she has. The reason being, I've seen through her. Mm-hmm. I've seen her through the entire process. There were times where I think Khushi was not even eating. And you had lost so much weight, Khushi. It's becoming tinier and tinier. And I remember, talking to you right now, I can see while you would walk inside the door of my coaching, and I would see that Khushi, and sometimes I would really be concerned. Your mom will be concerned and talking about kya kar rahi hai ladki, ye kha bhi rahi hai ki nahi. She's like getting weaker and weaker. We were really worried about your health, because Khushi was studying extremely hard, because the school was new, the board was new, and she wasn't able to score and show her, capability to her school teachers, because for her 11th and 12th teachers, it was absolutely new. There was no rapport. And she was struggling. I think with the biology teacher was a savior with whom, she was able to manage. And I remember she did not take that subject with me. So she was studying mathematics.
PCM.
And biology, she said, ma'am, I will be able to manage. And she was doing extremely well. And she was really taking time to understand all that was happening. And with that, she had this whole burden. So did you ever think of, let me just not do it?
Yeah, there were definitely times when I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But then I remembered that, during these times, I really need to push myself, because if I give up now, I will regret it later on. So just push through it, and things will always get better.
So see, because your parents were not involved in this, was there anybody who was an accountability holder for you, or somebody with whom you were sharing this? And
well, I was coordinating with my school counselor, and she was just giving me advice on, like, if I had any questions about the application process, I would ask her. But I pretty much kept the deadlines in mind on my own, and I would make sure to finish the application before the deadlines, and I would send it. That's it.
So, friends, I would just like to kindly, quickly summarize about her application. The first step was she discussed with her parents, and she kind of expressed that she is serious about going and studying abroad. Yeah. Then she decided what subject would be, she would want to take. Then she decided which countries she would like to study. So, did you decide that because there was a support in these countries, you had some?
Yeah, I have family in both of these countries.
So I think especially for a girl student going and traveling, the parents wouldn't allow to just go and stay on a university campus. So that makes sense. So she looked at the countries where she decided to choose USA and Canada. Then she was going to the career fairs, which was hosted by the school and elsewhere, and finding out about where these universities, representatives from these universities are giving you a lot of information. So you can actually talk to them and ask questions rather than just checking on the internet. Then there was a great help was her counselor from the school. Can you just name your counselor? I really want you to give credit to that person.
Her name is Ashwati, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Ashwati ma'am was, we should always give credit to these people who are so instrumental, right? So Ashwati ma'am was the counselor who was always following up with her what is going on, and she could go and ask her whatever she wanted. Then later on, she decided on which universities are good universities of those countries, and then she chose which one she wants to apply. Yeah. Then she decided to take 10 US and 8 Canada, right? If I'm not wrong. 6 Canada. Yeah. Yes. And then becomes the Herculean task of the application process, right? So starting application process, there are different application processes for different countries, and within countries also there is absolutely different way of applying to certain universities. And the most cumbersome work is to write essays. So guys, you have to start penning down your thoughts and about your life. I remember when Khushi wanted me to give her a recommendation letter. I can be so mean and nasty. I told her, you write. I will only approve. I mean, I was so used to demanding work from her. Right from she was so young in grade 7. That I wanted her to really write what she should be. I should recommend her for. So I wanted really to look at her best qualities and write. That man thinks that these are the things that I can recommend, about myself. So she came with her tab. We did a little bit of changes, and there we were. I just had to put in my email and send it to the university. And then she mentioned that there are 3 important exams. That is SAT. Then there is that is for the science, engineering, and what you said?
So SAT General is for everyone.
So you said STEM. So can you just elaborate on that?
So SAT subject test is for STEM people so the subject tests are available in maths. There are 2 levels of math. There is physics, chemistry, bio, and there are a lot of subjects. Even history is there. So you can take whichever you want based on what major you're applying for.
Okay.
So I took the higher level maths, physics, and bio because these are the 3 subjects I think I was strong in. I'm weakest in chemistry. So
you don't say that. Okay. So she thinks she's weakest in chemistry because she's so strong in the other subjects. Otherwise, she's pretty good in chemistry. So general STAT exam and the subject STAT exam, and finally the English proficiency exam, which can be IELTS or TOEFL. So she took IELTS, and pushing in IELTS also you must have taken the academic one, right?
Yes, the academic one.
The academic one, yes. Because IELTS is general and academic. If you're going for work purpose other than teaching, you can take general. But if you're going, you're migrating as a teacher, you want to apply as a teacher, or you want to go as a student, then IELTS academic is what is considered. Then finally, she looked at. I think that's about it. So 11th standard, around that time, she started working on her application slowly, and she decided what exams to give, started preparing. And there she was completing all her work. And also I want you to keep in mind that there are certain universities which will ask you to complete your application process quite early, like as early as November. So it is recommended that you start your groundwork from 11, and from 12 simultaneously from July, August, you can really get doing 2 to 3 hours a day is what will be required. Okay, Khushi, that was so, cool, and it was really, really valuable. Even, for me, it's clear, like if I have to guide somebody, I've got some notes. And for other people also, I'm sure that people are watching this interview and taking notes. Okay, I recommend you to take down notes so that it will be handy. Okay, and this video is always there. You can always refer. Khushi, I would also want you to really come and talk more about this. So if I get requests, we really want you to explain the process?
Elaborate,
The reason being, things are available on internet, yes. And there are people talking about it on different videos, but you are the one, have gone through the process.
Right.
You've seen the valleys and you've seen the darkest times, you've seen the challenges of managing school exams and the application process. So I am sure that now you can, from your failures and mistakes and, some difficult times, you'll be able to guide and, a clearer path for the student. Okay, so, so my very favorite question is, like, as I told you that I'm working on digital courses. So I'm the course that I am floating here is the foundational course, and I'm choosing, like, though Khushi was my student, I was teaching her physics, chemistry, maths, biology. So, where there was time to really remediate her chemistry. Of course, I was trying my best, but though you can see that Khushi being such a sharp student, a dedicated, determined, and laborious student, she was not able to really develop the love and connection with chemistry. So I'm creating a course which is it is a foundational chemistry blueprint that I'm coming up with. The foundational chemistry blueprint talks about the foundational concepts of chemistry, where we really spend time on getting the foundations clear. And even a grade 10 or 9 or 11 student can look at the foundations and get it remediated. And having said that, that particular format can be used for any subject. You can have a foundational physics, foundational math, foundational biology. Of course, I am not venturing into that. I want to be an expert in chemistry. So I want you, Khushi, to tell me, how do you think that, strong foundations have helped you to, go through all these examinations? And
well, I guess my foundations, the foundations of science, they were really solidified in 9th and 10th, because the jump from 10th to 11th is huge in terms of academics. So I would say make sure all your foundations are very strong before you enter 11th. So maybe after your boards or whatever, that 1 month that you get, or how much of a time you get, make sure your foundations are extremely strong before you start your 11th. Because 11th standard chemistry is a lot different than 10th standard.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a whole different side of.
You're rightly said, because there is hybridization and there is a lot of molecular models, and I'm trying to include that in my foundational course. So what happens is, since I'm not teaching from the syllabus in a rigid manner, I'm providing them all that is required for a strong foundation, so that when you complete your 10th standard, you're so and basically one of the intention is to have a great connection with the subject. So strong foundations are important, definitely. And I think, Khushi, what happened with you also is, in grade 9 and 10, you get so much focus on marks. Also on marks, so much on marks, and it is so disappointing to not get marks. So, you manipulate things where you don't care about whether you're following or not. You just want to get marks. So it's a real request, or you can say, I would really want my students to get this, that marks come secondary. What comes primary is your understanding. And when you will go and apply in these universities, look, you are applying what you learned as a skill, not only as a subject performance, but definitely the strong foundations in your writing skills, of the subject will allow you to choose a subject as well, right? Okay, cool. Now my next question to you is almost coming to the end of this interview. I'm really enjoying this time, as if we are sitting in my class and we are like sitting across the table and talking. So with Khushi and with most of the students, we would sometimes meet only to chat. There was no teaching that happened. We would only talk about things. That's fantastic. Khushi, now I want to talk to you about your parents. Okay, I really want you to tell me how important has been their influence and their role in supporting you in whatever you're doing. What is the contribution of your parents in all this?
I mean, they have been extremely supportive since I was obviously born, and ever since, even in 6th, 7th standard, they should never pressure me to get full marks or anything like that. And then in 9th and 12th, when they realized that I was struggling, they would take a step back and they would let me be on my own, because that is actually what I needed. if they would have constantly pressurized me to do something, I wouldn't have been able to flourish as well as I'm doing now. So I would tell the parents that if you know your child is extremely dedicated and motivated, you can take a step back. It's okay. And you don't need to stand on their head 24/7. That's okay. Yeah. That actually really helped me when they took a step back and they trusted me enough to do my work on my own.
So, with Kushi's mother,
Mhm.
it is a great relationship as a friend, and we share a lot of, a lot of things in our thinking patterns are so similar that we can talk on for days. We can just we can take a call. It's like a long call. I'm going to get some parents also on this on the series of these interviews with parents that I'm going to have a separate series. Now with Kushi's mother, I have not interacted much with her father, but with Kushi's mother, I would really like to make this point that she would be so worried if Kushi would have any sort of failure or disappointment.
Yeah.
She was worried about her being disappointed and not about the mom. She said, "Jo mila theek hai, because I know that she is working. I'm really worried that she'll get upset." I mean, look at the unconditional love of a parent. She's not even bothered that so much I am I am taking so much pain, sending you to school and doing tuitions and paying here and paying there. A lot of us go into that conversation. Let me tell you, it's really very raw. But with Ami Patel, it was like she was only worried that Abhi won't, she'll be worried, Darshana. I really want her not to feel so bad and all that. And so she's such a strong-headed girl that we wanted her to be so successful. I'm so glad that she got what she wanted to do, and definitely her parents were monitoring, watching on her, khaya hai ki nahi, kitne baje soyi hai, kitne baje uthi hai, but they don't dare ask her to do anything. Not even ask her to eat at the time when she doesn't want to eat. So that is the kind of freedom we need to give. In fact, I was yesterday talking about my daughter, that the tremendous respect that I have for her. She's 12-year-old, turning into 13. And I genuinely feel respect, and I feel this is because I respect each and every student. I'm evolving as a teacher, definitely, and I might have been very much harsh, and now I'm very kind and compassionate. I'm evolving, but what was the common thing all through my teaching life is an extreme respect and belief that this child is an awesome human being. And I think that is a great reminder for all my teacher friends and parents, that when you start looking at them, that they are already awesome, they're already capable of doing all that they need to do, and we start keeping ourselves little away from that, stop interfering too much, I'm sure that they are going to show their true colors, and I should rightly say flourish in the true sense.
Yeah.
Okay, Kushi, now we to the last question of the interview. I want you to tell our audience the message that you have for the students and the parents. So one thing.
The message that I want to give the students is that no matter what struggles they face, they should always persevere, because if they don't, they would not have the strength and the courage to achieve their goals. And I'm sure everyone wants to achieve their goals, right? Who doesn't? So I would say that no matter what, I know things may seem really bad at that particular point, but things will always be better. So even if you're struggling in a particular subject, just work hard and things will work out at the end.
Awesome. Any message for the parents?
Well, to the parents, just have faith in your kid, because I'm sure they know within themselves what they're capable of, and sometimes when parents, they probably put too much pressure on the kid, it actually damages the kid more than it helps them. So you have to kind of assess how much you'll be involved in your kid's life. That's all.
Wow, awesome. So it's very important we get their perspective. I mean, why am I asking her that what is your message for the parents? Because that might be our child's message to us.
Yeah.
So, it's not about see, again, I believe that India is doing great. There are so many great universities in India as well. But getting into an international university is what Kushi wanted to do. And so the whole world is one. I always believe that we are all one. And the corona pandemic is really kind of reinforced this, that we are all one. Without an exclusion, no royal no royal families, no downtrodden. All of us are one. So, having said that, she aspired to be an international student. She took it on. So, it's about, I feel that it is, you desire something,
Yeah.
you start thinking about it, you set a goal, and you work towards it. It's simple as that. So, that is why I wanted to really have Khushi here on the interview and how she got her, mission, her desire into fulfillment. That was what I wanted all of you to hear from her. And thank you so much for watching this interview. And I'm so glad that my students are coming up and giving this value add. And I want you all to encourage us by sharing these videos and also please like it, subscribe to our channel because we are going to have students from different strata, academically oriented, those who have been very naughty and absolutely mischievous, not great at studies, and how they could do great in life. So keep watching this series. Thank you so much once again. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Yes, Khushi, thank you so much. God bless you. Stay in touch, and I would also want you to come one more time and talk in detail about this whole episode. So, thank you so much. Bye bye.